In the whole of my practice, there are two ways to deal with drugs. Stop where you are or continue.
The Plugged In podcast is brought to you by the Youth Fellowship of RCCG, the Life Center.
Your strength in life and understand your weakness in life, you can manipulate your mind for success. Now, but if you don't know what you don't know and what you can do and what you cannot do, then it is easier to just flow along with peer pressure. Now, particularly, I noticed that independently I prepared my slides and I met with Prof this evening. Going through his slide, I discovered that 50% of what he has is what I have. So I don't think I need to go through the slide. But there's something very important I will want us to look at. And that is the problem among youth today. I have been in and out of rehabilitation. At a point, that was my full-time job. Presently, that is my secondary side hustle. I have consulted for about, 2 facilities here in Abuja. I have link of referral to other facilities. But there's one thing I've noticed in today's world. One of the greatest means people in the mental health are making money is through addiction. And one of the greatest killer of youth's destiny and life and future is addiction. Now, addiction to me, I am looking at it generically from all forms of addiction. Because all forms of addiction begins with a desire to get more. For example, let's use the simple social media. Okay, let's use the social media addiction. At what point does one get addicted? It is when one reels scrolls up and the need to see the next reel comes up and the need to see the next one goes on and the need to suddenly, before you realize, you have spent the next 2 hours in it. And that 2 hours, I bet you, if somebody should force you to pray at that moment, you can't pray for 10 minutes without grumbling that you're already praying too long. Now, there is one basic chemical in the brain that is connected and associated with all forms of addiction, and that is dopamine. Dopamine is that neurotransmitter in the brain that increases your tendency to feel good, to feel excited, to want to have more. Now, if I'm to go back to the biology or neuroscience of addiction, there are particular parts of the brain that are associated with addiction. One part is connected to your memory. One part is connected to your to motivation. Another one is connected to the desire, the need to have it again and again. Now, what happens is that at every point you engage in anything that seems pleasurable to the brain records it. And when the brain records it, it doesn't just throw it away. It starts connecting when, how, with who that pleasurable activities took place with. For example, if you have a bad day and somebody makes you feel that just use this, it will help you calm. The brain records the feeling and multiply the tendency to feel good beyond what normal daily activities will give you. And when that feel-good effect gets hold of you, the next thing is that you start remembering that as an option to get out of that situation that made you start it in the first place. And that is why drug addiction is one of the worst form of addiction. Drug addiction is a worst form of addiction because it is the form of addiction that plays around with, it flows along with your personality. For example, if you are someone who want to socialize, and you seems to be this introvert, a type of drug called stimulant can actually help stimulate you to feel good. If you are somebody who want to feel calm, relax, a depressant can give you that effect. If you are somebody who want to enjoy moments, there is a hallucinogenic drug that alters your mind and gives you extra sensory perceptions that you can feel you are the superpower in the world. And I feel at a point, sometimes I try to question R. Kelly's song, I believe I can fly, to look like a hallucinogenic reaction to something, because I have never seen someone flies. But if he, on a normal situation, feel he can fly, then that is what drugs like ecstasy, LSD, peyote, mushroom can actually make you feel. What is the most common drug that is being abused today? In the past, we feel what we call the gateway drug is just alcohol and cigarette. But today, because they seem to have stigma attached to them, youth are going for drugs that are odorless, colorless, and can be masked in anything. For example, somebody can hide under medication to use codeine, tramadol, rohypnol. Now, the problem with those drugs is that a long-term use of those substances can affect memories, can affect your mental state, and can actually just send you to the world where Pastor was talking of schizophrenia, split mind, schizoid, and phrenia, the mind split, where you start experiencing unrealistic happenings around you, associated or characterized by delusion, hallucinations, and unorganized thought process. These are effects of drugs. Now, I'm not talking about textbook theories of or the effect of drugs. As I said, I've worked in the rehabilitation for a couple of years, and I've seen where the rich, the high, the mighty are brought low because of drugs. Let me give you an instance. When we were passing, I told Prof, I used to have a client around here. Now, this boy was just finished secondary school and got admission into Nile University. The first year, he got involved in drugs. And the first semester, he did well. Second semester, he started missing classes. And he couldn't finish the second semester. And automatically, the family have to go for a rescue mission, withdrawing him, taking him to rehab. In that rehab, when you go to rehab in Nigerian setting, you have two choices. Leave whatever you have doing outside and come in for rehab, or leave the rehab and continue what you're doing outside. So meaning that his education stopped. That seems like he has made progress. I was following up at home until after a couple of months, they got him back to school, repeated the year again, and before the semester runs out, he went back. This time around, came back to the house and looked through his mom's jewelries and stole a gold jewelry worth over 100 and something million and sold it for less than 30 million and ran away for a couple of days and was not seen. And when they actually got him, he has exhausted all, wasted all. But the thing there is that what do we do? The mother, the father have to put heads together, bring him back to the rehab. The worst thing that I've seen in drug is that don't start. If you start, stop where you are. Because the possibility of getting it right the third time is low. Let me give you an example. If you are addicted to drug today and you are taken to rehab, the best time to get it right is the first time. If you fail the first time, the second time. But the longer you stay on drugs and the more relapse you have, the worse you become. And the lower the chances of getting it right. I'm actually not saying this to make you feel anything. I'm telling you the truth. I had a patient while in Kaduna. Ibrahim is a son of a former senator. And the dad has been making effort for that guy to reform. And that guy couldn't till the dad died. He's a graduate of Coventry University in UK. In short, that's the first time I heard that name. He finished economics and had a master's in economics. Let me tell you, the best he has ever done with that certificate was to give it for collateral. 300 naira. What's the name of this drug? It's a pills. Rohypnol. In area 1 here. 300 naira. He wasn't having 300 naira to pay for it. He gave master's, first degree certificate, credential as a collateral for that. Do you know what it means? That is what that certificate was. Okay, if not, what else does it worth? Coventry University to UK. I'm not saying Nile Bayes or government university. Coventry University UK. That's what it worth. As I'm talking to you till date, he has never maintained a job. He has never used that certificate to look for a job. The best thing I have ever achieved from that guy, and the best thing he has ever been that I've seen, is to be a signpost whenever it comes to the facility. He is in his 40s, and whenever young people come to the facility, what I do is send them to him and tell them, this is your future if you don't stop. And the good thing I like about him is that he is always open to counsel them, to tell them how to stop, but cannot stop. That's why I say he's like a signpost. The signpost to this church has never entered this church, but has directed millions to this church. Meaning that you can live a life that the only value you possess is to only tell people what to do and not be able to do it. And that is what drug can do. If you are talking about drugs, I have seen a situation where, okay, let me give you this. A boy I managed in the facility, I was in a group session with them, and I asked, okay, what's the highest amount you've used on drugs? So I asked one of the guy, this one said, 2 million in 2 years. I said, okay. This one said, oh, wow, I think it's up to 20 million. Okay, and I asked another lady, actually just a law graduate, and she was just commissioned, or what you call to bar recently. Now she said she has spent over 50 million within 3 years. Another person, I just say, I guess, let me just give him like a soft landing. I guess your own may be up to 100 million. He just laughed. I said, okay, maybe I think I got it wrong. Should I go down or up? He said, go up. I said, okay. Let me just give them marks. I said, okay. 300 million. He said, as a matter of fact, in 4 years of my use of crack cocaine, I can tell you I've used over 500 million. Approximately. It's more than that. Let me tell you how he runs his family is he is rich, that he can fly from Dubai, come back to Nigeria, and buy whatever he wants to buy, and follow a family-connected airline and go back to Dubai. Yes. Now, that sounds like these are the most richest form of persons. Now, if you go to the streets, the tout you see on the road are those less privileged drug users. Guess how much it costs to rehabilitate a drug user in a month? Average, guess. 500? 500,000? 200? Pardon? 100,000? Oh, I guess now. I don't want you to have an idea. Just give me guess. 500, good. Okay. The least in a private room in one of the facility I work is 1.2. And for those who may be staying 2 persons in a room, they pay 700,000 per month, excluding other in-between meals and other things they may require you to pay. Now, do you know how much it costs to start drugs? It costs a stick of cigarette, and that's just 20 naira. Do you know how much it costs to change that behavior? That amount we just talked about. Now, it sounds like it's only in drugs that we talk about. What about pornography? It sounds like something that you do in secret and people don't talk about it, but it is a problem. I have seen it crushed families. I have seen it even delay marriages. I have seen it even make people to develop this depression we are talking about. The point that one of our patients, I am standing in the church, so whatever I'm saying, I'm never saying anything to impress anybody. His drug use and his pornography behavior led him to a point where he was hallucinating and seeing ladies coming to him whenever he's alone and encouraging him to keep masturbating. Pornography breeds masturbation. Both are addictive. Now, when he added drugs to it, it got to a point where he wanted to die because he is no longer comfortable of doing those things. And he took sniper. God helped him, he didn't die. He was not comfortable with himself. He used the same sniper another time. Used a syringe, dropped some sniper on that syringe, and injected his penis. He said maybe if he stops erecting, the hallucinatory experience will stop coming. As I said, I'm in the church. And that to the point that he couldn't manage himself again. Another person, this one is not longer pornography and the rest. It's a case of gambling. He started with cryptocurrency, investment in cryptocurrency. He collected people's money as a chief investor because he's good at trading. He traded to the point that he was making profit for them, and they went and brought in more money, and the market crashed him down. At that point, this guy I'm telling you works with NNPC. Yes. As of the time I was discussing with him, his monthly salary is over ₦1 million. When he went back and couldn't recover from that, his friends that actually started advising him about, he saw his friends making, in quote, money from sport betting. In order to recoup what he thought he lost from cryptocurrency, he now channeled his interest to betting. The worst, at a point, his performance at work started depreciating. His level of error started increasing. His level of absent-mindedness increased, that his boss had to call the family. Something is wrong with this man. His marriage started crashing. As of the time they brought him to the facility, his marriage, his family, the wife's family, his in-laws have taken away their daughter from him. Yes. It happened that, the most complicated form of addiction is to have a gambling addiction, because it becomes difficult to break when you gamble with this thing and you still need it to function. When you gamble with your phone and you still need the phone to use your social media, you still need the phone to make calls, it is difficult to break, because the main function of it is still a trigger to engage in that. So it became a bit difficult that we have to start detoxifying from this. So the last thing I would say was a story I was sharing with Prof. In the whole of my practice, there are two ways to deal with drugs. Stop where you are or continue. I discovered that threat doesn't stop drug addiction. But what stops it is when you have knowledge and you create the determination. But if you don't stop, it will stop you. How? Either stopping your progress or killing you. I lost a patient two months back. Do you know how it happened? In Abuja here, he went to do his drugs. He died in the bunk. And what the friends, the whole of those friends you think are friends, the good thing they were able to do was to take him out of that bunk and keep him by the roadside and call the family, your son is dead, the corpse is so place. Don't start if you have not started. Stop if you have started. Because what you don't see is bigger than you. Thank you.